Now, if you've watched any of my previous videos, you will have almost certainly heard me banging on about how much I like the music in Zelda games, but that doesn't mean it's the only thing I like about them. Far from it, in fact. One ingredient that takes the franchise from a saucy little dish to a masterpiece is, of course, the characters. I do also want to apologize. I know it might appear as though I've been shot in the face. This is not the case. It's a ginormous spot, and I'm really sorry. I know it's going to annoy some of you. Yeah, my bad. I don't exfoliate like I should do. Terribly sorry. Zelda characters can be funny, rude, surprisingly deep, understated, yet carry great emotional weight. This is a dead tree NPC, yet is one of the more sympathetic characters in the franchise. You never speak to them, you just get a brief glimpse of this character at the very start and very end of the game. That's it. Minimal interaction, yet when you look a little deeper, it's one of the saddest stories in the series. You name one other dead tree NPC that you feel any kind of remorse towards, go ahead. And by the way, the Deku tree in Ocarina of Time doesn't count. He eats children. And that's kind of weird.
Oh no, I'm dying. Quickly, children, climb inside my mouth.
Not today, you sick freak. I've got an uncle. I've been through this whole song and dance before. You can keep your branches to yourself, you big birch bark bitch. Gohma was trying to save the kids all along. There's a Zelda theory for you.
How you doing? All right, how are you? Have a seat over in that chair, please.
Zelda characters are often great examples of show and not tell. Rather than have an NPC simply spurt out at you that they are, this is my name and this is why I'm here. I like this and not this, and I wear this necklace because my grandmother, she said that the jewels in it remind me of the way my eyes shine on a Tuesday afternoon. You know the one. But that's not the case with a lot of Zelda characters. You can slowly begin to unravel their stories the more attention you pay. You can infer great tales from subtle little context clues. They fill out a world for the casual gamer, but enrich the world for the more vigilant players. And their backstories act as a reward for those who dare to look a little bit closer. But more important than any of that is the fact that Zelda characters are one goofy bunch of biscuits. Now, you might think this is only exclusive to maybe one or two titles, but this goes back to even the earliest entries in the series. Zelda 1, there's just a bunch of random old people living in caves. This man had the time to forge a sword, but couldn't even be bothered to make a front door. Those are nutty priorities. Now you might say, but if you've not got a front door, a sword is the perfect thing to have. And you'd be absolutely right, as long as he didn't go handing it out to the first child who happened to wander into his house. Zelda 1, goofy. Walking into a village in Zelda 2, it's like a glitch in the Matrix. Everyone looks the same. Oh, and hello there, Error. Well, what a lovely name that is. Really suits you. Now, in this video, I want to go over some of the slightly more obscure goofy characters, the ones that you might not have heard of or might have forgotten about. You know, things that will make for slightly more interesting stories. Because obviously, there are some prime candidates for goofiest Zelda character. I mean, you know, Tingle, mic drop, video done. It's a wrap, easy. I mean, imagine if Tingle rapped. Now that'd be pretty silly. Yeah. Yo, it's hard being Tingle, I'm out here alone. I'm just looking to mingle, got all the directions. Don't know where you've been to, don't know who you are, but I know what you're into. Maps, bitch, I got maps, delivered to you in a stack. Let me teach you a lesson, you need the direction. Got no time for guessing, don't know where you're at. Facts, ha ha, ha ha, ha ha. Yeah, funny map man in a green suit. Red room full of heat, don't need a shoe. Red trunk, green knees, got these two. Green swag, green man, it's real bijou. They don't like me cause I'm strange and I'm a nice dude. They don't like me in my ways and they ain't try to. They don't put me in the games and I won't lie, dude. TOT will be okay and I just slide through. She give me one more chance. Yeah, she give me one more chance. Tingle, tingle, cooler than pie. Chinker, covering pie. Yo, it's hard being Tingle, I'm out here alone. I'm just looking to mingle, got all the directions. Don't know where you've been to, don't know who you are, but I know what you're into. Maps, bitch, I got maps, delivered to you in a stack. Let me teach you a lesson, you need the direction. Got no time for guessing, don't know where you're at. Facts, that's facts. 3 bros and I'm the honcho, but there's only one thing I want, and that's one more theme song from Koji Kondo. You put my theme song in 4 swords. 4 swords? Oh, I see how it is. No love for Tingle, huh? I'm out. Yeah, no, that's definitely stupid. And we're starting off fairly tame, and with a character that I don't believe I've heard anyone really mention before. And this is odd, considering that this character is a green, long-snooted alien that lives inside Link's house and sells specialist explosives. Now, you might be saying to yourself, oh, hold on, I feel like I would have picked up on such a thing. I feel like I would have remembered this character. Who is this that you speak of? Now, there is no shortage of unusual characters in A Link to the Past, but should you venture into the Dark World, you will find an establishment situated exactly where the hero of Hyrule's house once stood. Although similar in size, its appearance is slightly different, adorned in the Dark World's signature purple hues, and appears to be slightly more decorative than Link's house. And should you wander inside, you'll be greeted by this little fellow, a green creature with a long green trunk. He appears to be wearing a golden headband or crown and seems to breathe some sort of steam. He sells normal bombs, which isn't anything to write home about. However, he is also the exclusive seller of the super bomb, a ginormous hydrogen bomb. Okay, we don't know if it's a hydrogen bomb, but whatever it is, it's capable of blowing a hole in the side of the Pyramid of Power. Now, I'm not too sure what kind of customers he gets in the Dark World, or just how profitable his business can be, or indeed, how this strange little creature acquired the means of developing such ordnance. The truth is, we don't really know what this thing is. It's not explained in-game or by any other means, and his origin and occupation is made even more questionable, as the character has never been revisited since. Yes, unfortunately, we have no 3D counterpart that might give us a bit more detail and help us figure out what this thing really is. I have, however, used cutting-edge technology to develop an image of what this creature might look like in the real world. Hey, what the... Oh. So, the green-snooted, steam-breathing arms dealer gets the first spot on my list of goofballs. Shall we continue? Next, we move on to Ocarina of Time. Now, I know what you're probably saying. Well, the Poe Collector, he's a pretty goofy goober. What about the waddling King Zora, who feeds his children to giant fish deities? He's pretty goofy too. Wait, no. I know who you've picked. It's got to be the magic bean seller, who literally never stops eating his own stock. Like, for it, this guy is just in a perpetual state of mastication. He's gonna have the jaw strength of a short-tempered Rottweiler. But no, it is in fact none of these. You might actually be surprised by my pick, and my Goofy Goober of Ocarina of Time award goes to the owner of the fishing hole. And this one's quite easy to explain, really. Found situated in Lake Hylia to the east of the laboratory, there is a fishing hole where you can go and pay to fish, and your target is to catch the biggest fish you can. Simple enough. So, this man chose to set up a business. Nothing wrong with that. But then proceeds to move as far from any kind of civilization as he possibly could. He is located on a section of the map that is possibly the furthest from any and all inhabited land. He's miles from the castle, Kakariko Village, Zora's Domain, Death Mountain, Gerudo Valley, and of course, the Kakiri Forest. In other words, miles from any paying customers. This is why there's no cafes on the moon, by the way. You've got to wonder where this man is expecting to get any kind of business from. What? This guy? Oh yeah, no, he looks like a real keen angler, this one. He even admits this, saying that he'd probably go out of business if it wasn't for Link. Now, his lack of business knowledge is not even the funniest thing about this guy, not to mention the fact that he's got perpetually itchy armpits. But the goof gets turned up to 11 when you consider the fact he's travelled all the way to Lake Hylia, which I can only imagine was for the water, and then rather than using Lake Hylia and its water to let people fish, he decides to build his shop next to the lake. You could have saved yourself a lot of money, bunked with the crazy guy at the lab, and just charge people to fish in the ginormous lake instead. But no, why do that when you can open up a pond next to a lake that is only accessible by swimming? Now, some businesses in the real world still don't have wheelchair ramps, but this is taking accessibility to a whole new level of stupid. Moving on to the wonderfully weird world of Majora's Mask, and to be honest, a case could be made for pretty much every character in this game being a little bit goofy, whether it be the hand in the toilet, definitely don't want to sit on that. Or maybe you do, depends on your hobbies, really. There's Kamaro, the dancing dead guy who gives Link what is possibly the weirdest item in any Zelda game. There's Toto, although lacking a handle and spout, much like a little teapot, he's described by Zelda Wiki as being short and stout, and also owns one of the most pointlessly small hats I think I've ever seen. There is, of course, the four giants, towering behemoths, the guardian deities of Termina, godlike entities who are so powerful they didn't even need to grow bodies. They're just big heads with great big sexy legs. You gotta wonder why you need a nose if you don't even have a stomach. But, you know, who knows? See what I did there? Sorry. But no, my pick is the Goron Elder, of course. Now this guy is one crusty, goofy-ass Goron. Not only can you use his bottom lip as an Olympic diving board, this guy walked so slow, he turned into a freeze pop on the spot. Do you have any idea how slow you have to move for that to happen? It's insanity, and also, Majora's Mask just so happens to have a collection of probably some of the goofiest enemies too. Choo-choos? Goofy. Enos? Oh, they're goofy. Bomb-choos? goofy. Snappers, best believe they're goofy. Nejirons, they're super goofy. And a special shout out to the Widsrobes in Majora's Mask who attack you whilst playing some sort of Dance Dance Revolution. Hella goofy. And now onto the beautiful world of Wind Waker, which is possibly the king of goof. We've got the snot-nosed kid, Aztec fish, Nico, Jaboon, Big Pig Lady, Tot, Valoo, and of course all the little teeny-tiny little Koroks, especially Makar. Just look at this goofy little waddle. Ah, it's adorable. All excellent choices to be sure, but my pick for Wind Waker's goofiest character is going to be the cave-dwelling sculptor Karlov. Now, it would appear that the theme of today's video is the bad businessman within the world of Zelda, and this man just so happens to have found what is possibly the most remote location within the world to set up a business. To get to his figurine store, one must first make their way past the Boko Babas and Octoroks littering the entrance to the Forest Haven, and once inside, you need to scale your way all the way to the top, and then take a leap of faith and pray that you happen to land upon the island in which Karlov dwells. And once you reach the island, you will find a submarine-style hatch that, when opened, leads to Karlov's figurine cave. Hold on a moment, a guy that hangs around in a cave playing with figurines all day? That just sounds like every Zelda fan. Loser! Wait, that's me too. Karlov's figurines are an optional side quest. If you bring him pictographs of the various inhabitants, he will create sculptures of them. And once you've pictured every single possibility, and Karlov has made all of the figurines that he is capable of making, he will disappear. And we're informed by a lingering customer that he's through making figurines. Quote, "I have made every last figurine this world could possibly desire from me. I have set out into the world in search of inspiration to guide my hands." I don't know, seems like a pretty long-winded way of saying you're going to jack off, but whatever. Karlov also acts as a bit of a two-in-one because he appears once again, and for the last time, in another entry in the Zelda series, the Minish Cap. Only this time, he settled for a much more accessible but no less weird domicile. He now lives in a tree in the corner of town. There is a whole town full of buildings, and this man chose to live under a tree. Not up a tree, like in a treehouse. That'd be pretty cool. No, under a tree. This man chose to live under a tree. Now, I think it's fair to say that's one goofy-ass dude. Now, some people say that to compensate for the cartoony style of Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, the next installment in the Zelda franchise, went for a much more realistic approach, which is, in some ways, absolutely true. Except for the people. Twilight Princess easily takes the crown for the weirdest looking people. I think it kind of falls into Uncanny Valley territory, where you can pick out a humanoid, but something just isn't quite right. But it's not just humanoids. There is, of course, the armless Argyle sweater-wearing Yeti, aptly named Yetta, which I'm going to assume is a wonderful amalgamation of the words Yeti and sweater. Yetta, I'm going to go with that. But this bitch is goofy. Occasionally homicidal, granted, but goofy nonetheless. And of course, we can't mention Yetta without giving a shout out to her husband as well. I mean, this man makes a fish pumpkin cheese soup. I mean, that's some goofy ass food. Regardless of all the freaks that inhabit the world of Twilight Princess, it is none of these that have taken the crown. No. The spot of top goofster goes to, and I know this is quite an obvious pick, but I couldn't not give it to Uku. Those nipples are absolutely nutty, my guy, and you've got 16 of them, and they're getting gradually bigger in size. A bald, booby chicken with Russian doll nipples and the face of Mother Teresa. Uku is prime cut top tier goof. There is no way I could have given it to anyone else other than maybe a bodiless son. Skyward Sword also falls into a similar sort of category to Twilight Princess. These are definitely people, but God knows what happens to these poor souls. But there are a few prime candidates, such as everyone's favorite redemption arc, aka the Grusinator. Iconic indeed, but not quite goofy enough. There's my favourite all-time Zelda character, Beedle, who, funnily enough, I have not actually mentioned yet in this video, but he manages to keep a house afloat exclusively using the power of his thighs. That boy could play Rochambeau with one of the giants from Majora's Mask. But still, not goofy enough. There's Bug Boy Stritch, Donald Trump, aka Old Impa. Colin's pretty goofy. He's a goofy lucky goober. But all of these, still, not goofy enough. Hey, go back, too much. No, I'm actually going with yet another incompetent businessman, and this time, that is Dodo. I mean, first of all, that is a goofy little name, but Dodo is a trumpet-playing, skybound clown who resides on an island that doubles as a giant roulette wheel, upon which he hosts a minigame. However, When you first meet Dodo, he refuses to do his job because part of his outfit is missing. Now, does his outfit play any role into the functionality of the roulette wheel? No, he's just being weird. And only after you risk your own neck and dive beneath the clouds to find what Dodo carelessly dropped, only then will he do his job. Which is also pretty goofy. He'll launch you into the air out of a ginormous cannon. You'll then have to skydive down onto his roulette wheel, and depending on where you land on that wheel determines your prize. I mean, first of all, it's a very unusual vocation to pursue. What do you want to do when you grow up? Be an astronaut? A fireman, maybe? No, I want to live on a giant roulette wheel and fire strangers out of a cannon for money. What? No, I don't know if I could trust a man who can't even keep his own clothes on the island to fire me in the air, hundreds of feet in the air above that island out of a cannon. It just sounds like a bad idea to me. And finally, we move on to what I think is possibly the least goofiest Zelda game, and this is a bit of a tough one. I mean, there's Pelison. He looks like the guy who gets his face sucked off in Monster Zink, but that's not very interesting. There's Kilton. He's a pretty goofy guy. He looks like a mix between a Goron, a Bokoblin, and a Hylian. Now that's an origin story that you can probably find online somewhere. There's Hestu, the owner of the infamous golden poop, and he does the maraca shaky shaky. That's pretty goofy, right? There's Robbie too. He's a little zany, but I don't know about goofy. I don't know. I think I'm going to have to give it to Cass. I mean, we've got the Rito, the race of humanoid birds. Cass, though, Cass isn't your average Rito. He is a ginormous parrot man. I don't know. I don't think that's that interesting. Wait. He also plays the accordion. I don't know. I don't like the harsh tones. They don't quite resonate with me. Wait one more time, because he stands in the middle of butt nowhere and plays to nobody, unless a nubile young pixie boy happens to walk past. Then he might sing him a song. You know what? Yeah, that's a pretty goofy guy. That's a weird dude. So, those are my picks for some of the goofiest characters in the world of Zelda. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Did I miss any off the list? Let me know. And remember, new video every week. Subscribe. And bye! You goofy ass bitch.